Okay, well, welcome back, everyone. Delighted to have you all back. Thank you for tolerating our errors there where we had the little mini glitch with our breakout rooms, but I'm so glad from the smiles and the comments as people came back, it didn't take away from your experience. So a special warm thanks to all of our presenters. We had Ties from the Royal Botanical Gardens, Getting to Know Coots Paradise, Ryan Kent from the City of Hamilton, the Blue Box Program, Scott Peck from the Hamilton Conservation Authority around creating wetlands, and Eugene, Megan, and John from the City of Hamilton about the Own Your Throne, Fats, Oils, and Grease. And a special thanks to one of the Rotarians in our club, who is also the city manager for the City of Hamilton, for helping us get some of those presenters. Really excited with our 7th area focus in Rotary being environment, that we were able to have so many great external presenters. But we also a warm thanks, certainly fundraising show and tell. Thank you, Governor-elect Lisa Bishop. That was very popular.
Show us the money.
And Gord Cran and Kathy Stardup for talking about the Rotary Peace Fellowships and global grants. Michelle Stalwart Woods for social media. Past district governors Kevin Crosby and Frank Adamson about getting a satellite club off the ground. We're about to launch 10, and we hope after today there'll be more. And thank you, Jill Norton, for doing a wonderful presentation on youth exchange. Much appreciated. So if we just take the slide down for the moment, and on the screen, I want to ask if everyone could please join me in doing what we call a Zoom applause, which looks like this because you're probably muted. And so thank you to all of our presenters for the fantastic breakouts. Very appreciated to one and all. So we're back to our final hour, and a special hour indeed that we have planned for you now. We have a couple of different things that will be happening. In a moment, I'm going to be calling to the stage Scott Marson and Frank Adamson to talk about some exciting awards from last year and some great exciting announcements. We will be having our keynote with Vice President of the Rotary Board of Directors, Rotary International Board of Directors, Valerie Wafer, who is here with us. And we've got some other really special announcements and a fantastic challenge. So it's going to be an exciting hour ahead. And so at this time, I would like to ask immediate past District Governor Frank Adamson and District Governor nominee Scott Marson, if you want to come front and center to our stage and explain a little bit about Lighthouse Awards, what was involved, and tell us about the just about to be announced winners from last year. Scott and Frank.
Thank you so much, Governor Ann. I much appreciate the opportunity to recognize those clubs that have achieved the Lighthouse Award in 2020-21. And the other night, Thursday, we recognized 23 Rotary Citation Clubs, which is just a wonderful achievement. And then to receive the Lighthouse Award, clubs had to receive the Rotary Citation, so they had to place goals and reach at least 13 of those. And 23 clubs on both sides of the border were able to do that. So I'm very happy about that. And the Lighthouse Award, this is an award that Bob Bruce, as district governor in 2003-04, initiated. And this, the reason for Lighthouse, he tells me, is that in his travels to clubs on both sides of the borders, he was impressed by the number of lighthouses and the stature of the lighthouses that he saw in his travels, and they are a beacon of hope and keep ships at sea safe. And he just thought that would be something that he would like to do, is to recognize those clubs that go above and beyond what clubs have done with the Rotary Citation. And the governor each year gets to pick out what those criteria are going to be. And in my year, basically, I put out 10 criteria, of which clubs had to meet 8 to receive the Lighthouse Award. A couple of those participate in a grant management seminar, and qualify for grants. At least one member participate with the Rotary Leadership Institute series, which I would highly recommend any Rotarian, new or old, to sign up for RLI. President-elect had to participate in each segment of PETS. Club members had to attend the district conference. Club presidents or president-elects had to attend at least 2 area meetings. And then, as you all know, I introduced some projects that I thought could be done club-wise across the district, such as the waterside cleanup, the Pedal for Polio fundraiser, of which we had really good participation across the board. Thank you all. Every club member personally donates $25. That's American, so about $50 Canadian, to the Every Rotarian Every Year Fund. And then clubs needed to support a youth program. So I'm happy to announce that there are 15 of those 23 clubs that did achieve the Lighthouse Award. And I'm not sure who's going to share that, but if we can put those up, here we go. So congratulations to Brantford Sunrise on achieving this, the Rotary Club of Niagara Falls, Canada, the Rotary Club of Niagara Falls Sunrise, the Rotary Club of Brantford, the Rotary Club of Welland, the Rotary Club of Niagara on the Lake, Lockport, Rotary Club of Lockport, my club, the Rotary Club of Fonthill, the Rotary Club of Ancaster AM, and we have Rotary Clubs of St. Catharines. We have St. Catharines and Lakeshore, and we have St. Catharines South. So all 3 clubs in St. Catharines. The Rotary Club of Grand Island, congratulations. And the Rotary Club of Dundas Valley. Kevin's Club, the Rotary Club of Buffalo Sunrise.
Frank, I think that was our list.
Okay, the Rotary Club of Welland, did
Yep.
they pop up? Okay, great, all right. There they are. Okay, super. So those are the clubs that have achieved the Lighthouse Award, and these plaqued certificates that you see in front of you, I hope to hand deliver most of those. I may have Scott help me out on the American side. It's still problematic getting back and forth across the border, but I'd like to award these personally to as many clubs as I can. So thank you. Congratulations to all the clubs that achieved the Lighthouse Award. And
Great.
that,
Let's do a big round of applause. Woo! Well done, everyone.
thank you.
Well done.
So I'll turn it over to Scott just to talk a bit about the governor's trophy. And this is something I'll mention that Rick Stern in his year, which is 2012-2013, came up with the governor's trophy, going to a club that stands above and beyond in regards to not only setting goals, but achieving goals, achieving the Lighthouse Award and what have you. And these are based on criteria. So Scott, do you want to talk about that criteria?
Absolutely. Thank you, Past District Governor Frank. Before we, first of all, congratulations to all the Lighthouse Award winning clubs. You really guys went above and beyond what all these other clubs are doing. So congratulations. But before I go on to the Governor's Award, I just really want to take a moment to congratulate all the clubs in District 7090. You know, despite all the hurdles and impediments placed before our clubs during the past year, Rotarians from Brantford to Buffalo, Fort Erie to Fredonia, Hamilton to Hamburg, or Ancaster to Amherst, and Waterdown to West Seneca, and all places in between, have shown that we are people of action and that we live each day by the Rotary motto of service above self. Well, you know, whether it was doing the Great Lake watershed cleanup, filling our food pantries in our communities, providing PPE supplies to the frontline workers, offering scholarships to deserving students, or installing little free libraries in our communities, Where there was a need, Rotarians were there to fill it with enthusiasm and smile. So together, Rotarians are making a difference in our communities, and we will always continue to do so. So congratulations to all the clubs on another year of great service. So now on to the most prestigious award in our district, which is the Governor's Award. The Governor's Trophy, pardon me. At the beginning of the Rotary year, the incoming district governor will create a set of criteria for the district clubs to achieve during that district governor's year, with points being awarded for meeting each of these criteria. So this year, these accomplishments included achieving 9 of the 10 items on the Lighthouse Award, membership increases, approved district grants and global grants, participation in the Little Lending Library and the Bug Bench projects, participation in blood donor clinics, donations to the India Oxygen Converter Project, participation in zone fundraising gala, district committee memberships by your club members, doing the webpage revamp, and a club polio contribution. So there was many applicants for this award, showing the dedication that Rotary that exists among many of these clubs. So a huge congratulations to all those who submitted an entry for the Governor's Trophy. But one club has achieved the most among its peers. And here to present the Governor's Award for 2021 is past District Governor Frank Adamson. Frank, I give it back to you. This is a special award and maybe close to your heart.
Thank you so much, Scott. So the guess a drum roll here. So the winning club, and I think we got a slide here to come up, is the Rotary Club of Font Hill, Ontario. Congratulations to past President Hugh Graham and his entire club for all their work they did to achieve not only the Rotary citation, but also the Lighthouse Award and this prestigious award as well. And this is just some unpaid advertising for a quick fit Niagara. We just took this picture yesterday. But again, I'm just delighted. I was basically absent from my club for most of the year as a governor, but basically they jumped on board and did everything that they could to achieve this award. So I'm absolutely tickled pink and delighted and able to award this to you, Graham, who is, I believe, on the call. Do you have any comments?
I'm trying to hold it up, but I've blurred my background, so you can't really see it, but I do have the award here in my office. And I just want to say, as I've said many times to our club, it's a club effort. It's got nothing to do with me as the president of the club during that year. Everything that we do is a club. And I think most presidents would agree with this sentiment that leading your club is really not that difficult because you have a great club to lead, and it's definitely a club effort. And I'm very much appreciative of everything that all of the members did. I shared the criteria with them so that they could see that everyone in some way had an impact on helping us to win this award. We're very proud to receive it and to hold it for the next year and then turn it over to whoever wins it in Governor Hand's year. So I just want to thank the club particularly. See, Dave's telling us on the chat that it had a lot to do with my leadership. I again want to deflect that. It is the club that does the achievements, and so I'm just very proud to achieve it. And thank you very much, past District Governor Frank. And we were very honored to have the District Governor from our club in the past year, and it just seems kind of appropriate, I guess, if you will, that during his year we actually managed to win the Governor's Trophy, or achieve the Governor's Trophy. So
thank you. Congratulations, Hugh. Congratulations everyone in Font Hill. And I will let people know, as you know, we are people of action, live by the four-way test. And in fact, Frank actually had Scott Marson take over the analysis of the criteria. So Frank was not personally involved in judging his own club. I think Scott brought in 3 accounting firms, went through all of the counting up of the points. I saw it was a very good process. And so congratulations to Font Hill. So as we talk about citations, you might have your interest piqued. Maybe you don't know about the Club Citation Award or what it takes. So in a few moments, I know Kevin Crosby's going to put in the chat the pamphlet. You can also get it from my Rotary and Rotary International. And so it outlines the variety of goals that your club is challenged to pick from. You have to achieve 13 of those goals, and they are all outlined in the pamphlet, and we're putting the pamphlet in the chat for you. So the criteria is there, and when your club goes into Rotary Club Central, the goals are there, and you pick the ones that you want to strive to achieve. And at the end of the year, you achieve 13 or more, you could win a club citation. We're also putting into the chat the club citation for our 8 Rotaract clubs. And so it has a slightly different criteria for our Rotaract clubs, but also a club citation. And so we really would love to see all of our clubs in the district, all 70 plus, to achieve one or both, to achieve your club citation. Your assistant governors are standing by as all the whole district team to help you. And third, going into the chat in a few moments, is this year's criteria for the Lighthouse. It is also on our 7090 website under presidential resources. Anyone can access it. But the criteria, so over and above winning the club citation, you must win that. And in addition to that, it has have at least 3 members attend one of our Rotary one-on-one sessions that we're holding for new members throughout the district. There'll be a couple more happening this year. Sponsor a satellite club or passport club, have at least 5 non-Rotarians participate in one of our days of service. So make sure you made note yesterday how many people you had out or how many people you have at the Great Lakes Watershed Cleanup. Have at least 1 member enroll in the Rotary Leadership Institute Level 1. Have club members, more than 1, attend the district conference. Engage in supporting our district social media campaigns by liking and sharing content on Facebook, and Instagram and LinkedIn. Post at least 3 new articles to your own Rotary Club website that hopefully you got refreshed last year, but we got to keep them fresh. So that's a criteria. Being qualified as a club using our revised simplified grant qualification process, having a club strategic plan, and finally being involved in one of our fantastic youth programs, such as our short-term exchange, long-term Rotary exchange, our RILA, our Slapshot. So again, that's gone into the chat. That is the criteria for the Lighthouse. It's not a secret. So if you are a club president, have a look at it. If you're not a club president, make sure you're asking your club, what are we doing? Do you think we can get Lighthouse Award? And the club that gets the most points on the Lighthouse will win next year's Governor's Trophy. So thank you again, Scott and Frank, for that. And thank you, Kevin, for putting those files into the chat for us. And I know Dave Schultz from our public image team will get them up as well on some of our social media. So at this time, I have the pleasure of bringing back on stage Governor-elect Lisa Bishop, and she is going to introduce our keynote speaker. Over to you, Lisa.
Thank you, Governor Ann. This is a tremendous honor for me to be able to introduce to you our feature speaker. Our keynote speaker today is Valerie Wafer. Valerie Wafer was invited to join Rotary in 2005 in order to fuel her passion for making an impact that matters. She went on to serve as district governor in District 7070, which is our neighbor, just down at the greater GTA, just east of here, and she served in 2013-14. Valerie has served in a variety of international roles. She served as trainer, member of the host organizing committee for the Toronto Convention. Those of us that went there, we all had such a good time, and we thank you for that. She has also been, she's a board of directors with the International Board for 2020-22. During Valerie's time within Rotary, she has served in many initiatives, including a recent trip to Kosovo for the Gift of Life. And I know our Valerie Phillips is nodding right now and wondering how exciting that would be to be able to go and do that. She has served in a vocational training team to Australia for youth mental health issues, which is a passion of mine. And she's also gone to Kenya and Tanzania for the Rotary Foundation. In her personal life, Valerie has an amazing career of 27 years working in the restaurant industry with a well-known brand that we know, Tim Hortons. And in that, she was able to work in helping people with different abilities to have positions in the community working within the restaurants. And I know she will be talking to you about this. It is a great honor for me to introduce to you the Rotary International Chair of Diversity, Equity, and Inclusion Committee, our Rotary Vice President of the world. She is an inspiring leader who walks the walk and lives her life in service above self. Thank you, Valerie, for joining us today.
Thank you so much, District Governor-elect Lisa, for that really nice introduction. And it's so wonderful to see everyone in District 7090. And on behalf of Rotary International and the Board of Directors, I want to extend warmest greetings to all those attending this district conference. And I want to thank District Governor Ann and the conference committee for inviting me to be with you today. I'd also like to thank past District Rotaract representative, Rebecca Ballack, for the invitation to join the tree planting event yesterday at the Binbrook Conservation Area. What a beautiful sunny day. I think it was a great surprise that the sun was shining and it wasn't too cold. And it was such a great collaborative project. And while I was there, I spoke with Foundation Chair Sandy Chard, and she was so proud to share with me that the tree planting was the Rotaract's project, and it was funded by district reserves, which, you know, was really instrumental in showing me that District 7090 is committed to inclusion and the advancement of Rotaract. And also, Sandy shared with me that members of Rotaract sit on many of the district committees and will participate in grant management seminars so that they qualify for district and global grant activity in the next Rotary year. So well done. And then I spent a lot of time with Rebecca, Victoria, Matthew, and Lauren and others, and they did such a great job informing me of the accomplishments of Rotaractors in District 7090 and giving me some of that history. And I know DRR Bashi was so excited to share with me the lineup of activities planned for this weekend, including watch parties. So hello, everybody. I know you're probably there watching. And the brainstorming sessions and the strategic planning sessions that you're undergoing this weekend. You know, really talking about where they envision themselves in 5 years. The key is to keep in touch with what members want and expect from their Rotary experience. And we spoke about visioning and starting with a blank slate, designing your dream Rotaract club and what service projects they want to do and collectively are committed to and want to focus on. And we talked about the fact that, you know, it's not just in Rotaract we need to speak about this. When I speak to clubs and districts today during this pandemic and coming out of the pandemic, I invite them to start with a white sheet of paper, a blank sheet of paper, and, you know, ask your members after 18 months of meeting online and the use of technology and the need to get back together and the cost of Rotary, both from a time perspective and a financial perspective, you know, we need to take the good. We need to take the things that work, the things that are engaging to our members. And we need to speak openly and respectfully about some of the traditions and look at them through the lens of a new Rotarian or even some of our current Rotarians. It's a time for us to have that honest conversation. You know, are some of our traditions important or are they expected? It's because we've always done it that way. So I think this is a really great time for us to have those conversations. We have an incredible opportunity ahead of us with Rotaractors as our current and future leaders. And I know that District Governor Ann's specialty is strategic planning and that she has helped clubs and districts in this journey. And again, you know, I really think now is the time for these conversations. So yesterday I took it all in and I had such a great afternoon. Number one, because it was impressive. And number two, because it was my first real hands-on activity since COVID began. And for me, it was a chance to recharge my batteries, if I can use the theme of this weekend and the conference. Now, those who were there and were, observing and speaking with me, and I'm thinking of past District Governor Frank in particular, will likely tell you that I only planted 2 trees. But I had some great photo ops, and as you've heard me speak, I just had a wonderful time catching up and learning more about 7090. It was great to be together, and I took full advantage of it. Rotary International President Shaker Mehta's theme, "Serve to Change Lives," could not be more prophetic and timely in our Rotary world. Being together in service builds lasting connections. And I think yesterday was a really great example of it. And I know that this weekend of you being together in person at regional social events last night, to being together virtually, I think you've really managed to capture what a hybrid event could potentially look like. It's not just about being in a room and having other people Zoom in and some people being in person. It's really that combination of fellowship and then coming together on Saturday morning to be able to do this. So I want to take a moment also to acknowledge the touching tribute to past Sister Governor Karen Oakes this morning. Karen has left an indelible mark on the world and in each of our lives. And I will miss her smile and her quiet confidence and her guidance. She was a wise counsel to me on many occasions as our zone treasurer and endowment major gifts officer. I served with Karen as an assistant Rotary Foundation coordinator years ago. So we've been friends and in service for a long time. I want to offer my condolences to each of you and to her partner Wolf and family. Karen will be missed, but we can smile knowing that she guided and mentored many of us, and that her guidance and voice will continue to be with us in the days and years ahead. This past year has proven to be one with many challenges, and through it, it has become apparent that our Rotary family has never been so important. More than ever, we need to hold on tight to these opportunities to be together, to share, to laugh, and as we did this morning, to comfort each other in loss. This year has taught us a lot of things. It's taught us how to be kind. It's taught us how to listen. And it's taught us how to reflect on what's important in our lives and in the lives of others. And we have stepped up. And I couldn't be more proud to be a Rotarian than I am today. We need to nurture these friendships. Friendships we have celebrated and friendships that have brought us through a very tough and challenging period in history. This is the gift of Rotary, and it is unique and it is so special. How many times have you acknowledged a fellow member or been acknowledged yourself by the question, "How can I help? What do you need?" Or congratulated a new Rotarian with a genuine welcome of inclusion, taking a keen interest in who they are and how they show up, taking into account visible and invisible diversities. True intentional conversation committed to nurturing these precious Rotary friendships and the inclusion of current and potential members. Now, many of our clubs have embarked on the journey to strengthen our commitment to diversity, equity, and inclusion, to truly welcome the community, the individuals that historically have experienced barriers to join or simply haven't been asked. If we think of Rotary as a pyramid, with the clubs at the base of the pyramid and the board of directors and the RI president at the top, I can tell you that the base supports the organization and that a true culture change will be driven by our clubs and our members. Now, as District Governor-elect Lisa mentioned in my introduction, I spent 27 years as a restaurant franchisee in Toronto. And I quite often in presentations make the comparison between Rotary and a franchise operation. Each franchise operates in a community. And while the main product offering at each of these locations comply with the corporate brand, they are nuanced to the demographics of the community. And this is really true of our Rotary clubs because we know we have a strong, recognizable brand. But our culture and our Rotary experience can be different even in a club across town. Representing your community is good for business, and it's good for our Rotary clubs. Because when you walk through the door and you feel that you can be yourself and feel valued, you're more likely to stay. And it's not just about recruitment of new members. It's also taking the time to get to know our current members, having conversations, ensuring a safe and intentionally respectful environment for sharing. Let me share a story with you. I was speaking to a large club in our zone recently, and we touched on diversity, equity, and inclusion. And following the formal part of the club meeting, many of us remained on Zoom to continue the conversation. We were having, a really great conversation, and we didn't want to leave right away. And after a few minutes, a Rotarian who's Black spoke up, and he shared with us a personal and impactful message. After 15 years of being a Rotarian in this club, with his fellow members, his Rotary family, he has never felt 100% accepted. And he never felt he could express his concerns or feelings. And he saw many other potential Black members join only to leave in the first couple of years. This conversation we are having today in our clubs and in our districts gave him the courage to speak up. Now, the surprise and empathy was visible on the other members' faces. They hadn't intentionally excluded this man and his culture. They simply never asked. They perhaps didn't feel comfortable asking personal questions which are sensitive, understandable. This isn't just a powerful story of one person's experience. It's exactly how the culture of belonging begins when we have those true, intentional, respectful conversations. We know that we need to cultivate a diverse, equitable, and inclusive culture in which people from underrepresented groups have greater opportunities to participate as members, leaders, and feel comfortable and feel heard. Now, even though the board of directors have taken steps to strengthen and support our commitment to diversity, equity, and inclusion, putting it into action is not a top-down effort, as I described that pyramid. You are the base, you are the clubs and districts, and you will drive the change that is required at that level. You're the faces and voices that new members see and hear when they look to join us in service and membership. I remember joining Rotary and attending my first meeting. And I'm really a classic example. I didn't know what Rotary was until somebody asked me to attend a meeting. So it was very new and unknown territory for me. And if you can take yourself back to that day and remember that the acronyms that we use and the history of our organization can be intimidating. And my club was 70 years old. And I really wondered if it was a space I belonged to or I would be able to contribute. But I joined Rotary to get to know my community. And this club welcomed me. And they introduced me and they helped me navigate the traditions and some of those acronyms. And I just want to pause here and recognize my privilege as a white woman. Privilege to be in the majority, but privilege that can also become the minority as a woman. So let's now think about inviting a member that doesn't have privilege and think about how our club would react. Would people speak to them? Would we greet them? Would we get to know them in an authentic way? Would we follow up and ensure the product that we are selling, Rotary membership and service, meets their needs? And are we offering the necessary tools and accommodations to ensure success and equitable opportunity for leadership advancement? Each of our Rotary clubs belong to a unique community. And two clubs, as I said, in the same town can look very different and have a very different dynamic or culture. In your town, you are the first point of contact with a new member or a current member. Your product offering, your leadership will determine the culture and environment of inclusion and equity. So first, have a conversation and commit to the journey. Begin with your club members and district leadership team. There is a wealth of resources available. Begin with education. Use the RI Learning Center as a resource and a possible starting point. Assign the module, diversifying your club as pre-work to a meeting, and then open it up to discussion. Bring in a speaker to speak about true lived experience as a learning opportunity. I can speak as a woman, but I can't speak as an Indigenous person, a Black person, or a member of the LGBTQ+ community. Hear their story and understand who they are, their life, and how they show up. Meet them where they are and not expect them to be where you are. It's a shared understanding and acceptance. Mr. Governor-elect Lisa also mentioned that in our business, we hired people with disabilities of all types and in all positions from entry level to senior management. And in the early years, every time we hired someone, we made a judgment call. We thought we knew their capabilities and what jobs suited them. And each time we got it wrong. We let our bias, stereotype, and preconceived notions guide us. And you know what? That's normal. It's human. And we had to learn to constantly challenge ourselves. We learned very quickly to practice what we adopted and called ATP, ask the person. Never assume how a person shows up and what accommodations they may or may not need. Simply have that committed, authentic, and intentional conversation and ask, what tools do you need to have an equitable opportunity to be a member, to lead, and to succeed? As the chair of the Rotary International DEI Task Force and as director of Zones 28 and 32, I am so encouraged and proud of the work being done across our zones and our districts. The encouraging stories and opportunities to support our current members and engage our community is so commendable. But I also know and recognize that we're all at various stages of this journey to understanding DEI. And we also know that many are hesitant to have these conversations, and the very mention of diversity, equity, and inclusion can result in feelings of fear. But if we all take small steps in the same direction, we will reflect our community, we will attract new members, and reflect what our current and prospective members want and expect from their Rotary experience. Diversity has been one of our core values for a long time in Rotary. And the RI Secretariat, the Board of Directors, and the Foundation trustees have determined that DEI is a critical issue and needs to be addressed to continue to expand our reach. And we formed the task force to develop an ongoing, meaningful action plan to create measurable, lasting change throughout our organization. And so I want to give you a sense of the scope and direction of the work that the DEI task force has been working on. So we took a look at Rotary's numerous policy documents, evaluating barriers to leadership roles, to decision-making, and election or appointment practices. We reviewed existing DEI cultures within clubs, districts, and regions, and within our organizational leadership. We met with key stakeholders to get a better understanding of their experience in Rotary and the resources they may be looking for from Rotary in terms of DEI. And we also partnered with a global consulting firm to understand who we are today. We listened through a series of focus group, leadership interviews, and the launch of a global DEI survey. And by early June, we began to study the results to determine what our members think and to obtain a better understanding of our demographics. And these steps provide the benchmark going forward to define our future and our opportunities. The task force was very mindful, determined to create a vision and a plan that will support our membership and reflect regional priorities, because we know that DEI looks very different, as I mentioned, across town, but certainly as part of a global organization, we know that DEI looks different in India than it looks in Europe, than it does in Australia, than it can even in the US and Canada. So let me share a few of the key themes that emerged from the listening component of our focus group interviews and our surveys. And it was found that Rotary members are invested in making Rotary's culture more inclusive and believe in harnessing the power of DEI to further our organization's impact. It was determined as well and recognized that the Rotary member DEI experience is inconsistent across the globe, which speaks to that regional component and support around the world. It was also recognized that Rotary membership financial cost is an obstacle for current and prospective members. And as we go forward in this DEI journey, and we know that these conversations will result in our Rotarians being upstanders and calling out behavior that is not in line with our core values, we recognize that there's no central place at this time to report, collect, and address those instances of discrimination or harassment. So that's something that the task force will be working on. It was also heard very loudly that younger Rotary members do not feel they have a pathway to progress in leadership positions. So these themes that resulted in our listening exercise may sound familiar to you as opportunities in your own clubs and districts, and they certainly resonated with the task force, and they helped us to formulate our current 3-year roadmap. We know we have a lot of work to do on this journey, and just like our work in peace, we will never be able to tick a box and congratulate ourselves for our work. This is a journey that will continue, and we need to bring our members along as well. Our organization was founded on the diversity of its time. Paul Harris understood that a diverse vocational background helped to establish ethical business, learned behavior, and perspectives that help all of us grow as individuals and in our business. Today, we are a global organization and diversity is all around us. So let me just close with this. Diversity is a fact. Equity is a choice. Inclusion is an action. And belonging for all of us is the outcome. Thank you so much for inviting me to be with you. Thank you so much for inviting me to participate in that tree planting exercise yesterday. I really enjoyed it. And I actually now live in Burlington, so I am back to where I grew up and before we became Tim Horton franchisees. So I'm just down the road from you, and I'll be joining District 7080 at the end of this Rotary year. So glad to be your neighbor. Thank you for inviting me. And congratulations, District Governor Ann, on a great district conference and fellowship weekend.
Great, thank you. Let's have some Zoom applause for Valerie. Fantastic, right across the room here. And you know, Valerie, thank you so much. I mean, some fantastic messages. You know, your shout out to Rotaract and integrating, and we're certainly proud to have you there with us yesterday. But I also love, you know, hearing your pride in Rotary and how you're saying it's such a special time to be in Rotary, and even reminding us of the special part of friendship in Rotary. And I think that's a beautiful message. But I love the fact that you challenged us to say, you know, with the way the club isn't the way it needs to be. And just because we've always done it that way doesn't necessarily need it be. And I think that's something that everyone can take with us. I love your point too about inclusion and thinking about how inclusive, how engaging the club is. And I was very lucky because I joined Rotary when I was 27. And I was very lucky in that it was a very, very large club, the Rotary Club of Hamilton, over 200 members. And I still remember that when I had a very serious car accident very soon into joining, near fatal. And not only did I wake up in the ICU with a card from my Rotary Club that everyone had signed, but when I had made it out of the hospital at a time when cell phones were just coming to be, they actually called me from the meeting room, and there were 200 people in the ballroom that shouted out to me. And so, you know, to think when you can do something that makes someone feel included, it makes an impact for a very long time. And there's just so many ways we can do that. But I also appreciate the fact you gave us some really practical tips, like go to the Learning Resource Center, go through I love your idea of diversify your club module, and then make it a discussion and a meeting with everyone and breakouts, etc. I think that's something that's so easy, and I hope many of our clubs take up that challenge, as well as the many others you mentioned in terms of all that we can do, and even looking at such sacred cows as cost and a variety of other things. We are proud this is a free conference, but you know, we really do need to challenge those and finding a path for everyone, as you say, every kind of diversity, and make sure everyone is included and feels equals. So really, really wonderful message. And we are so touched and honored to have you here. So once again, I will ask if everyone will join me in a final applause to Valerie. And thank you so much. But please stay tuned. We have a really exciting announcement in a moment of something that gives me goosebumps as well. But first, I'm just going to tell you a little bit about some of the upcoming events that are happening in the next couple of weeks. And so I do want to draw your attention to the fact in our first event that our district has refined our grant qualification process. There are 2 1-hour sessions. And like anything, you can register on the Rotary 7090 website. And so November 3rd, 4:30 to 5:30, or November 8th, 7 to 8. The second event that is coming up, if we can click to that, is we are having another Youth Exchange 101. And so if your club does not know about short-term exchange, if your club does not know how to get involved in long-term exchange, if you want some new ideas of ways to get host families and fantastic students, please attend. It's a special event we're putting on. It's November 4th, 7 to 8. Our next event that's coming up in the district is our Rotary Web Talks on governance, questions that every director should know. So if you are on a board of director of your club, this is a very important event. And we're really excited to have Marcel Manja and Susan Cerny leading that. The late Karen Oakes was also going to co-host, but we're working on trying to fill her ever-present shoes in terms of that. The next thing that is coming up is our Rotary Leadership Institute. Part 3, level 3 starts on November 10th. And I saw Glenn putting in the chat his email, etc. if people want to know more about that. And then our district is having an annual meeting, and it will be on November 15th, Monday. The annual meeting will go from 7 to 7:30. And as part of it, we will be doing a recognition to all those Rotarians that have passed since the district conference in March. So if you know of someone in your club, make sure your president lets us know. Bob Artis is going to lead that for us, and that'll be followed by district council. And we would love to have as many people as possible come and see what district council is all about. So there are many events ahead. But like everyone, Rotary is just a part of our lives, and we all live busy lives. So I'm also proud to say that after our district annual general meeting until January, there'll be very few, if any, district events, district expectations. Give time for the American Thanksgiving, give time for the busy December season, and then we will start back up in January with many more web talks and other events. So those are some of the special events that are coming up, but there's an incredibly special event tomorrow, and that is World Polio Day. And it is celebrated around the world in terms of talking about polio, educating people on the importance of the vaccine and the fact that we've only had 2 cases in this year. And so I want to call forward at this time Sandy Chard, chair of our governance of our foundation committee. And I think you have a special announcement, and we have a special video queued up as well. So over to you, Sandy.
Great. Thanks, Anne. And yes, I was at that tree planting as well, Valerie, and I'm not feeling as well today. I think I did more than 2 trees, but thank you to all the guys for inviting me over there. So we are very honored in our district to have honorary member of the Rotary Club of Dundas Valley Sunrise, Thea Convery, challenge us again this year to help finish our #1 priority in Rotary to eradicate polio. As we have said, we're this close. We've only had 2 cases of polio this year, 1 in Afghanistan, 1 in Pakistan, and in January, and they were both boys. So I'm going to let us hear from Thea first, and then I'm going to explain what we can do as Rotary clubs to meet her challenge. So if we could have that queued up, please.
Hi, it's honorary Rotarian Thea Convery in the summer of 2021. The challenges of the COVID pandemic have taught us just how small and interconnected our world is. Years ago, we were experiencing another global health crisis with polio. At that time, Rotarians around the globe made a promise to the children of the world to eradicate this dreaded disease, and we've made tremendous progress. Collective efforts, including Rotary International, have reduced the number of polio cases by 99.9%. We are this close, but we're not done yet. So I challenged myself to help finish the job in eradicating polio from the face of the earth. And now I'm inviting you to a challenge. This year, I will donate $60,000 to the End Polio Now campaign if Rotary clubs in our district 7090 match that gift by December 15th. Will you join me in fulfilling our promise to end polio now? Please ask your club to meet the challenge. Brothers and sisters in Rotary, together we can fulfill our promise to the children of the world.
So last year we rose to the occasion when Thee challenged us, and 25 clubs gave $1,500 each for a total of $37,500. As we just heard, Thee challenges again this year for $60,000. Oops. And so we're upping. Last year was 1,500. So this year we're upping it to 1,725. We need each club to give, and we need 35 clubs to be able to give that. But I was thinking, yesterday when I was out with the Rotaractors, why don't the Rotaractors, let's challenge them as well to do something for polio as well. So I'm going to challenge you Rotaractors out there as well. So if we take her match of 60,000, we get 60,000, she's matching it. Bill Gates is going to match it. That's $360,000 that becomes. So it's unbelievable. So I want to thank the 5 clubs that have already met the commitment this year: Brantford, Welland, Niagara Falls, Niagara-on-the-Lake, and Fonthill. We've got a couple clubs that are pretty close. Last year, our zone was one of the top 5 in the world for polio donations. So congratulations to us all. I believe a lot of that's because of Frank's ride and because of Thee. So we're doing so wonderful things in the world. Let's hope we're almost finished it and we can finish it. But thankfully, many of us don't know what polio is, since it's been eradicated in Canada and the US for a long time. Our friend in Rotary, Bill Gates, has done a tremendous video explaining what polio is, because I've been around to clubs. Some people don't know what polio is, thank goodness. So World Polio Day tomorrow. It'd be great if you would showcase this on your own video, on your social media and personal, and cue up Bill Gates, and then back to you, Anne.
Many people today wouldn't recognize what this is. And that's an amazing thing, because it shows how much progress we've made against polio. It's a terrible disease, and in most countries now largely forgotten. The paralysis from polio starts with your legs and then can get up into this diaphragm area. And so a lot of people die simply because they can't breathe, and that's where this comes in to help out. This is called an arm lung. It's a mechanical respirator. There's a pump down here that creates enough air pressure that even though your diaphragm is paralyzed, it allows you to keep breathing. So your head sticking out here, it's pretty grim, but it used to keep thousands of people alive. The height of the polio epidemic in the United States was in the 1940s and 50s. This used to be something that you could see rows and rows of in lots of hospitals, kids lining here, and then that pump actually allowing them to breathe. The reason we don't have kids needing these anymore is because of the polio vaccine. We've reduced the number of cases by 99.9%. And now wild polio is only in 2 countries, Afghanistan and Pakistan. During this pandemic, the world benefited from the precious resource of the polio program, where all that personnel shifted their focus to help contain the spread of COVID-19. As much as we've achieved in the polio fight, I can't think of a more important time for us to double down and finish the job. The Global Polio Eradication Initiative has a great plan that will do more than just eradicate polio, that will also raise vaccination rates and improve health very dramatically. This arm lung was a great tool, but now we need the arm will of everybody involved in this fight. And it's thanks to the commitment of Rotary and many other partners that makes me confident we can create a world where no child will ever be paralyzed by polio again.
Thank you, Sandy, and thank you to Bill Gates for an excellent, excellent presentation. So how can you mark World Polio Day? One of the most important things we can do as Rotarians is tell people the Rotary's polio story. Many people do not know the story. And if you can just tell 3 people tomorrow on your Facebook page or in person about our fight and what we are doing, that would be outstanding. And of course, raising donations and meeting the challenge that he has put out to us as Rotary clubs would be a very special thing as well. And not too long ago, Valerie Wafer organized a zone event, and we had past International President Barry Razin, and he was sharing with us, and I will share with you, that Rotary International has met with the Taliban in Afghanistan, and they have agreed to speed up and not slow down our fight. And in fact, to show that that they were behind those words, they actually held, there are 38 Rotarians in Afghanistan. They organized a mobile clinic, and the Taliban provided the security so mothers could bring their children to receive the polio vaccination. So please consider giving, and please consider spreading the word. I think it's such an important message. So as we come to the end of our 3-day Rotary District Conference, I'm just going to ask if you can share our final slide, because like anything, there is a huge group that was behind this and challenged and worked on so many areas. And we had Aaron Carlson from Lockport helping on Thursday night and drove that whole program. Paul Gibble organizing all our breakout groups today. Lisa Bishop helping with promotion and so many other elements. Penny with registration and many of the logistics. Matthew and Tejel leading the Rotaract component, and I know your conference is still continuing. Phil Shamas helping us with our days of service. Tim McClellan helping with the socials, and of course to our conference chair, Michael House. And thank you to everyone. So please join me in one final Zoom applause to all of our conference committee. And thank you everyone for being here, and take care, be safe, and may you have a great rest of the weekend. Take care. Bye-bye.